I got a really awesome gift today. Yeah, we're going to make some good go fast noises. Welcome to Garb Car Garage. Woo!
What's up, people? Welcome back to Garb Car Garage. Today, I'm going to be restoring this disgusting old AEM intake that my good friend Jerry gave me as a donation to the project Garber 3 8th Generation Civic. Now, this thing's been sitting in a box in his basement for probably about 6 years now. It's covered in grime, caked in dirt. It's gross. So we're really hoping that we can get this thing shined back up to give it new life and really make that engine bay pop. We want that chrome to support the aluminum radiator that we've got, and we really want this thing to become a really nice showpiece. So let's get this thing unboxed and see kind of what we're dealing with. So this thing even came in the original AEM box. So we're gonna open it up, see what's inside, and hope that we've got all the pieces. So we've got, this looks like the one off of the throttle where we've got the mass airflow sensor. Got the lower pipe. This will be the part that goes to the air cleaner element. Got the air cleaner element itself, which is disgusting to say the least. Got the instruction manual. Got some hoses, mass airflow sensor, AEM license plate frame, and some other general broken pieces. So this thing even came with a dyno sheet. So it's telling us peak horsepower on the stock air filter was 98 horsepower at 3,800 RPM. And the peak gain with the cold air intake was 102 horsepower at the same RPM. Now this, I believe, is in third gear. So we are looking at an approximate 4 horsepower gain from this setup alone with no tuning, which sounds not like much, but when you factor in that this engine was rated with below 150 horsepower stock, I mean, you're looking at a 2.5% increase, which isn't bad. So not only is this thing gonna look pretty decent on there, but it's gonna sound pretty good too. Next step we're gonna do is try and get some degreaser and get all the gunk off of this thing and hopefully get it looking good again. I don't know how well it's gonna turn out. The chrome's in pretty rough shape. It's scraped, it looks bent in a couple places, but we're really hoping that this thing will come back to life and it will become a nice piece on this engine. I've got some kitchen degreaser, which I'm hoping will cut through some of the oil and gunk on there, and then we're gonna try a chrome polish to shine it up afterwards, and hopefully we're gonna have some nice results with this thing. Okay, so we're gonna start with some basic kitchen degreaser, some paper towels, and get scrubbing on this thing. Now I'm also going to remove the rubber boots to make sure that we're getting cleaned underneath it. Plus the clamps on this thing are pretty rotten, so I'm going to get some stainless steel clamps to put on it and to give it that kind of show quality that we are looking for. All right, so another thing to remember, if you're gonna be getting a used cold air intake, is never trust that anyone else has taken care of it. So what's almost as important as cleaning out the outside is cleaning out the inside, because if they've got oil or whatever else has gone through this thing, you wanna make sure that this thing is clean on the inside even more so than the outside. Because remember, when you fire this thing up, whatever's in there is gonna be sucked directly into your engine. It's beyond the air filter. So if they've got dirt, it's been sitting in sawdust, been sitting in sand in their garage or in a barn somewhere, you wanna make sure that stuff's cleaned out. So what we're gonna do is give it a spray on the inside, wipe down as best we can, and then when we get it into the garage, we're gonna hit it with some compressed air and try and blow everything else out before we get this thing in the car. All right, so we got these pipes cleaned up as best as possible. There's still some scrapes, there's still some scratches on them, but most of the grime and that hard baked on oil and goo is off of them. So next thing we're gonna do, try and get them to shine and polish out any imperfections, is use a little bit of this silver polish. Now this polish is designed for silvers, chromes, anything that can kind of bring a luster to it. So we're gonna give these pipes a treatment. Hopefully we'll bring a little bit of extra shine into them, polish them up, and then we'll go on to the next thing, the filter. Okay, so we've got it completely caked on. Now we're going to use a microfiber cloth to buff it out. This side came out pretty good. Now we're going to polish up the second side. Okay, now we're gonna clean this disgusting, grimy air filter. Now, this is not an oil filter like you'd find on your classic K&N filters. This is a dry filter. So what you have to use is a dry filter cleaner. AEM makes a dry flow filter cleaner. Now, what we're gonna do is spray this filter and let it sit for about 20 minutes. Now, we don't want it to dry, but we want it to at least soak in as much of that dirt. Then we're gonna rinse it out from the inside of the filter, pushing the dirty water out. So let's get spraying this thing and we'll let 20 minutes elapse. Now it also wants you to spray inside the filter to clean it from the inside out. Okay, so we sprayed the entire filter down inside and out. Let's let it sit for 20 minutes, clean it out, let it dry overnight, and put the whole thing on the car tomorrow. Okay, so the filter is dried and we are ready to get this thing on the car. Now, you may notice the filter has changed colors from red to yellow. Now, I was extremely shocked and surprised by this initially. When I started spraying the AEM cleaner on it, it actually changed colors right in front of my eyes and was looking kind of splotchy. So what I did, I just continued spraying until it had gone completely yellow. Now, I wasn't sure whether I was going to use this or if I'd have to buy a new filter, but I contacted AEM and they got back to me saying that it's normal for them to have a yellow color to them. Having your filter turn yellow is not 100% out of the ordinary. We've got the pipe polished up, we've got the filter clean, we've got some new clamps here. It's time to get back out to the garage and get this on the car. All right, so we're in the garage. Let's get the hood open, rip off this disgusting, black, gross, restrictive factory airbox. All right, so there it is. Got the factory airbox here. So you're gonna have to remove the wiring loom, potentially transfer over the mass airflow sensor, though our kit did come with another one inside of it. Throttle body, if you can see it, is way back in there. So that's where we're gonna have to get into. Get all this piping out, and yeah, reroute all of this, and this thing should look pretty awesome when it's all done. Okay, so let's get to ripping and tearing. All right, we're gonna start by removing the wiring to the mass airflow sensor and then the top of the airbox. Factory air filter. Now there are a couple 10mm bolts holding the airbox to the actual car. Okay, so actually there's one 10mm bolt right here, and then you've got the back of the airbox secured to these coolant and vacuum tubings way in the back there, tiny little Phillips on clamp. We'll have to get those off, and then we can yank and pull the rest of this airbox out. One more 10 way down in the back there. Show you. Okay, so you can see the bolt right there. That's the last 10mm holding the airbox in. If you look anywhere with rust, likely that stupid band clamp be seized and the Phillips will strip. Luckily, they put a hex on it. I'm gonna loosen this off as much as we can. Hopefully, this will release up. Just keep pulling. Oh, that's not how it's supposed to come off, but it's off. You can see it there. That's it. We're going to remove the rest of the hoses on this portion of the intake loop. This thing out of the way, and we should be ready to get the cold air on there. And there we are. As good a time as any to clean out the inside of that throttle body. Right, the kit, they give you this hose. This hose is to be used in place of that steel coolant line that we removed. So we're going to get the hose throttle body side. Okay, so it really wants me to remove the wheel to get into that inner fender liner, but I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not remove the wheel because I have the car in on this side of the garage, which means that I have almost no room to work. So I'm going to take out the battery, see if maybe I can get room from that way. Let's get the battery out and see how much room we actually have underneath here. So I am hoping battery comes out, I may be able to remove the resonator from here. It doesn't look good because I think it's bolted from the other side, but we shall see once this comes out. Well, gives us access to 2 bolts down here, the lower portion of the snorkel, and it's not going to help. The wheel is going to have to come off. Wonderful. Wheels off. So this is the inner fender liner, driver's side. Pull this back, and there's what we need. That's the inner resonator. That's the clip. So I'm going to pull this fender liner off a little bit better. That unbolted, go back to the top, get the rest of it unbolted, and then we can get the actual cold air in. That's out. Top side now. Pull out some more things. Hopefully we can get this out. Okay, so we got these 2 bolts here. Pulling the upper portion in, get those out. Two rotten bolts. This thing. And there we go. This portion of the snorkel here is held on by a pivot point up there. See that? The whole thing is moving. Bottom of the car again. See if we can pull it off. It looks like there's another bolt facing inward from the bumper side, holding the rest of this stupid resonator thing in. So I'm going to remove this portion of the bumper, hopefully giving me access to that last 10 mil, and we can move on with this stupid project. And there is that giant pain. So we know it's easier to remove the bumper to pretty much do anything on this car. Need to change a wheel bearing? Remove the bumper. Need to change the rad? Remove the bumper. Need to change the headlights? Remove the bumper. Need to change the cold air intake? Remove the bumper. All right, let's get that bolt out and get the rest of this air intake system out of this car. The 10 mil stripped, so we're on to a 3/8. Yay! Inner resonator assembly off. And this will be going right in the garbage. So the one thing that this kit did not come with is the vibration dampening bushings, these guys here. Now I ordered a bunch of these off of Amazon in the M6 metric thread. So we're gonna install those in the holes where they're supposed to go. That way the intake will fit in. It's not gonna move around too much. So we'll get these in and then we'll start putting the rest of the intake in. up these clamps, get us onto the throttle body. We're going to get the tube from the valve cover onto the intake. In the kit, it was provided a little piece of hose. It's supposed to go underneath the coolant hose. Over onto that end. The mass airflow sensor wiring harness is encased in this plastic loom. Now, this loom was designed to clip to the top of the factory airbox. Since we no longer have the factory airbox, we no longer need this plastic because we want this wire to reach down to the mass airflow sensor. We're going to unclip this, get this mass airflow sensor plugged in. Almost looks factory. Okay, so the last thing we have to do on top is just install the retaining bolt to hold the intake in place. And we can just position it exactly where we want it to make sure it's not going to interfere and touch the rad hose. See that dampener? We'll give it a little bit of flex to move with the engine. We're going to tie this up later. It gave us a zip tie that will clip into here to hold the wiring loom intact. Now we're going to go to the bottom and get the bottom portion of the intake installed. Okay, we're going to install the rubber grommet here, and that will allow us to get the intake in. So I'm going to join the lower section to the upper section here. Alright, so last bit of BS with this kit. You can see that scrape that's on the existing piping there. Now, I went through the instruction manual and you're actually supposed to notch out the inner fender liner. So we're going to put a cut into it because right now it does hit. So I'm going to get the X-Acto, we'll cut this out and hopefully it won't make too big a hole. So there it is. Window cut in the fender wall so the intake will not hit. This is done as properly as possible. Last thing I've got to do is just put that MAF loom through the provided zip tie. We'll get the bumper back on, get the wheel back on, torque this wheel down and fire it up. So bumper's back on, just gotta put the last screw in, get the wheel back on, lower the car down, and then we can fire it up. So let's time lapse that, let's get this thing fired up. Alright, so the intake system is in and man, does it look good and sound fantastic. That engine bay looks amazing and I'm really excited to see the direction that this car is coming in. I've got a lot of cool things that are going to be happening under that engine bay in the next few videos. So I really want to thank you all for watching this video. Stay tuned for more crazy, cool Civic content. The reason why we used a used intake as opposed to buying a new one for this project is twofold. One, because we got it for free, so that really keeps the budget on track. And number two, you can find a lot of these intakes on your online classifieds in your area, be it Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji. We wanted to show you what to look for and what to do if you do happen to buy one. So again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more cool content. And again, we'd like to give a big shout out to DJ Smokey, the official music provider of Garb Car Garage. And remember, you can check him out on Apple Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. So stay tuned for the next video. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And remember to like and subscribe for more content because I want to just keep giving it to you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.